Impro Theater and the cast and crew of this online performance would like to take this time to honor the indigenous peoples of the ancestral and unceded homelands we each inhabit, and to consider the legacy of colonization. In Los Angeles, we pay our respect to the Gabrielina Tongva peoples. Impro Theater supports the promotion of an anti-racist world, where we recognize diversity, equity, and inclusion as central to our values. We are listening, learning, and growing. We invite you to join us in taking action wherever we can to create a more just world. Hey everybody, welcome to Impro Talk. I'm Mike Rock. Very excited about our guest this week, Jeffrey Thompson, coming up soon. You know him as a very funny actor, improviser, comedian, magician, who can also do your taxes if you'd like him to. Please welcome to Impro Talk, Mr. Jeffrey Thompson. Jeff Thompson, ladies and gentlemen. Woohoo!
Oh, hey, Mike. What's going on?
It is a delight to have you, Jeffrey Thompson. Let's get some things cleared up right now, okay?
Oh,
you have a cat. You have a
Yes.
cat, and your cat, tell me your cat's name.
Cisco.
Cisco. And Cisco is what they call a tuxedo cat, I think. Is that what they?
This is correct.
So can you tell me, can we get this straight? A tuxedo cat, is it literally just a black and white cat, or is there some more magic to it?
I think, now I'm not a cat expert. I just am a man with a cat. So feel free to toss in a correction post interview. But I think tuxedo cats are a specific form of American short hair bicolor cats.
Whoa. See, now you said you weren't a cat expert, and then you threw down a form of an American short hair bicolored. I mean, come on, that's for real right there. Hey,
Yeah,
Cisco.
yeah, here he is for reference. Thank you, Cisco. You see two colors, right? Black, technically a very dark brown, and white. So,
Oh, wait, black cats are technically a very dark brown? All black cats? Or just...
No, he just happens to be a very dark brown.
Okay.
With some gray mixed in. Or maybe it's just white and black alternating very quickly.
And his adorable socks.
Yeah, if you're watching or listening to the podcast, you were definitely missing out on these adorable little toesies. And that little butt face, little crack in the middle. Okay, I got to do a podcast now. Can I do it? I gave you wet food.
Oh man, it's a big day over there with the wet food.
Yeah, he loves it. Usually that distracts him for a while, but now he's just like, I know that if I meow more, you'll give me more wet food. So
yep, that's how they get you, those cats. We want to thank Rachel Wasserman, who is our OBS tech, and Jennifer Epps, who is our Twitch chat moderator, probably blowing up in the Twitch chat right now with comments about Cisco and wet food for cats. Are there certain people in your life who call you Jeffrey and other people who call you Jeff, or is there a line somewhere, a line in the sand about Jeffrey versus Jeff?
Yeah, I don't know what the specific stats are. I don't have a firm preference, and I use both interchangeably.
You do?
So yeah, professionally, Jeffrey Thompson, that's my SAG name. Legally, also my name, please steal my identity. But when I introduce myself, I say Jeff, because my entire life people have misspelled my name. And so it's much harder to misspell Jeff than it compared to Jeffrey, which is like, is it R-E, is it R-Y, is it R-E-R-Y, is it 3 R's, 1 E, 7 Y's? No one knows.
No one's ever used 7 Y's, right? Maybe they have. Okay.
We don't have to go deep on this one if we.
So you are a person who can prepare people's taxes.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? How did that come about? How did it come about that you were like, I'm gonna be a tax doer guy?
Years ago, I started a theater called the Middle Theater Company.
Middle, M-I-D-D-L-E, middle, like middle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And it lasted about a year because it's very hard to be a small business, even harder to be a theater, as I learned starting a theater with no business experience. And because I wanted to save money, I was like, I don't have a lot of money, but I do have free time. So I'll just learn how to do accounting. Uh, Insert obligatory joke of like, well, that's why you went out of business because you didn't know how to do accounting. No, I went out of business because I priced too low. I was like, yeah, you could rent this theater for like, I don't know, $10 an hour. And then I was like, oh no, that's like way below market rate. I need to pay bills. But after the theater closed, I was like, oh, well, I actually really enjoy doing accounting. It's fun for me. So let me help other people with accounting. So I did some bookkeeping for a while. And then people started asking me tax questions. And I knew the answer to different tax questions, having done the taxes for the company. And then I was just can I just how does one like become a licensed tax preparer? And then I just did a whole bunch of education through the plenty of people who will teach you how to do taxes, and then got registered with California as a registered tax preparer. And then there's another level of tax preparedness. So you can be like a tax attorney, you can be a CPA, but also you can be what's called an enrolled agent, where you take a 3-part licensing exam. And I was like, well, at that point, I was doing like 50 to 70 people's taxes as a California tax preparer. And I was like, well, if there's another thing that I can do that'll just make it easier for me to do taxes, and like I'll be able to defend people in audits, might as well do it. So I studied really hard, and then I became an enrolled agent, and now I do taxes.
Cool. So that's sort of like a lemons from lemonade sort of situation, having tried to start a theater and it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's really funny, especially in this industry, because everyone always says like, oh, like don't worry about like failures, and like it's part of the story, and like everything that you do like isn't a waste of time. It will come in handy at some point, and like yeah, I first of all, I made so many friends from just like running a theater, and I just know so many people. And even today, well, not today specifically, but I've had people when I would see people in person go like, "Do I know you from somewhere? Did you used to like run a theater off of like the Middle Theater Company?" I was like, "Yeah, it was fun. What happened to that place?" "Oh, it went out of business because the theaters are money, money, money."
Where you had it, so you had a piece of real estate.
Yeah, renting right on Hollywood Boulevard, a stone's throw away from Second City, a stronger stone's throw away from the former IO West. Rest in peace. You're up there with the Improv Angels now. Yeah, don't pay rent.
Oh, so you rent this space. Did you just call a bunch of actor friends? By the way, earlier I think I said you made lemons from lemonade, which is interesting. I would love to see you do that, but you are a magician. Did you just get together a bunch of people who you thought were cool actor types and say like, I've rented this piece of real estate, we're going to do shows?
Yeah, it was I'm trying to remember the exact process, but this was like back when like indie improv had just like first kind of started.
Sure.
So there were literally only like 2 places to do improv, not at like a big theater. And I was like, oh, maybe we just need like another space. And I had this like idea that like it would be this place where like everybody, all the different theaters could like come together and like share ideas, because that's like what had started happening. People were like, well, I want to like do Groundlings and used to be, but like I studied at Impro and I like did comedy sports. So I like had reached out to different people to like be on the board. people I met from different theaters who kind of like had a similar artistic passion. And yeah, you know, and it was pretty crazy how it grew over time because you just get a lot of business from referrals. People are like, oh, I want to do a show. And then I was like, I have a free spot Thursday nights. And yeah, you give people a place to play and they will play. So,
And apart from how difficult it is to actually run a business and have a piece of real estate and pay rent month to month, are there other lessons that you drew from that experience? I mean, obviously, it launched you into a career, so to speak. I mean, you know, I guess a calling even in doing taxes. I mean, you have hundreds of clients now. Um, what other things kind of came out of that? Contacts or?
yeah, there's so many people who I met and like became friends with just from performing and like running the space. But also, I watched more comedy than was probably healthy because I was there every night. And so the um, I think a lot of people who want to do things in the entertainment industry don't watch or like digest the thing that they want to do. Like, you know, writers who are like, I want to write for TV. What TV shows do you watch? Oh, I don't watch TV. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, okay. Go ahead. Know lots of you know, musicians who've never listened to music before. They just don't have time for it. So uh, the like watching like really gave me a good eye for like what works and like what doesn't. Um, and yeah, like you just um because so after that I like started an improv festival with Nick Armstrong, who gave me a lot of guidance, and watching like improv submission tapes, like when you watch like 60 different improv, like 30-minute improv shows within the span of
It's a
like
lot.
2 weeks, it's a lot. But like you need to be able to like justify like why one team made it and one team didn't. And you like develop your artistic sensibilities. And then it becomes a thing of like um being able to like self-moderate, because the more you watch and you go, oh, it didn't work when this person did that, why do I feel this way? um you then go, oh, I'm about to do that thing that I really hate, how can I change it in the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think
you
those
gain
were,
insight into both sort of form and technique, and you're also
yes.
your own taste.
Mm-hmm.
You by watching and experiencing other shows, of course. I love that thing you said about people wanting to be an actor or a writer or a director or in a specific area of I guess entertainment or the performing arts, and they don't take time to develop what they appreciate about form or function
Mm-hmm.
or their own taste, let alone anything specific about a specific show. I remember back in the olden days taking like a workshop with a casting director to find out like the inside tips on, you know,
Mm-hmm.
booking a TV show or something like that. And sometimes casting directors would say things like, well, if you come in to audition for our show, you know, the XYZ show, hopefully you will have watched an episode of our show.
Yes.
um, yeah, it is that's a funny gap. So that would be
Mm-hmm.
a good piece of advice that you would offer to an aspirant in the performing arts.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially nowadays just so easy to like find things, you know? Like the um you probably remember the good old days of the internet superhighway, where like all the promise that like the internet has, and it just like there are so many things where it's just like, oh, I wonder like you don't have to ask like people that you know questions anymore because like all that information is there. Like if I'm like, oh, I want to like research comedies, like there go on IMDb and like see like what the top rated TV shows are, or if you don't like IMDb, like there are tons of websites and you can watch like clips, you can find scripts, like there's so much available. And yeah, it's um yeah, I don't know. I feel like because you and I both teach, like sometimes I see students who like stand in the way of their own success sometimes.
Sure, of
Like
course.
yeah, like learned helplessness is like a thing where you're just like, well, like how am I supposed to like learn formatting? It's overwhelming. Type screenplay formatting, like and it's just like a practice thing. But yeah, I think the like most important thing that I learned from like running a theater is well, one, be thankful to anyone who ever helps you. Like every time I met somebody who said that they were an artistic director, I wanted to give them like a huge hug because I got like a small like microcosm of it. Where just like no decision that you make is ever correct. There's always somebody who's going to be upset. It's like I have to raise the rates because otherwise we're closed. Well, oh, what are you doing raising the rates? We want to pay $5 for an hour. It's like, well, yeah, it's you just gotta do your best. I guess. I guess maybe that's the lesson. Just do your best. Try to
Do
be
your
better every
best.
year.
I
Yeah.
love that. Do your best and try to be better. Um, Astute listeners or viewers will note that Jeffrey Thompson referenced learned helplessness, a paper written by Abramson, Seligman, and Teasdale. Jeff and I both have a bit of psychology in our past. So you do you currently teach psychology, or is that have you done that? Have you taught some psychology?
Yeah, I'm on I took the summer off to focus on writing. But I'm back teaching I'll be teaching biopsychology, very exciting, very cool, and research methods in psychology starting the 21st of August. So back in it in a couple weeks, gotta put my leather patches back on my elbows.
Is this at Citrus College?
Yes.
And
Shout
is
out to
it?
Citrus Fighting Owls.
Um, yeah, I think that I'm supposed to go hoot hoot or something after that. Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Is the, are these classes going to be online or are you going to be in a room?
They're still online. I think pending further disaster, we'll start being in. There are some in-person classes on campus right now, but only for like the classes that like 100% need it, like auto repair, nursing, cosmetology. Um, we're low priority on that because you don't need to be in person to learn psychology.
Right.
So yeah, online, and then we'll just see what happens next year.
How did you? So let's maybe we should backtrack a little bit because I
Okay.
mean, you are an improviser. You've run a theater. You're an actor, a magician. You prepare taxes. You teach psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Let's backtrack just a little bit. When you were growing up and you were, little Jeff Thompson
Mm-hmm.
running around, were you a kid who went to the hobby store and got a little magic trick kit, or were you the kid putting on plays in the backyard, or were you offering to correct people's math problems? What was going on?
I was pretty introverted, like K through 8, like playing video games, watching TV at home.
Video kid,
Uh,
sure.
yeah, it. I think the like me of childhood would be scared of like the me of adulthood. Um which, it's fair. People change. In high school I started to get into, it's really funny because there are a lot of things like in school I was like, ooh, accounting, that sounds lame. I like math, but I wouldn't want to do it for a career. Oops. Uh the but like I did do like theater, and I actually started improv in high school. Um and then in college I was like, oh, I'll just like continue doing like improv and theater. And then got into like TV a little bit because there was like a sketch show that was on campus. And then after I graduated, I was like, oh, I want to keep on doing this and make like a whole bunch of money doing improv, as people do. And then my teacher, Tracy Burns, who I think was just like, oh, I don't know how to tell you this, but you don't. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. So I'm doing it because I love it. And then I just basically like stumbled into, because I just wanted to keep on acting. And then I was like, well, the easiest way of doing that is to like pursue a career in it.
So you're at Pepperdine doing
Mhm.
the Pepperdine improvisation
Mhm.
program, and with Tracy Burns, who's an amazing
Mhm.
improviser and teacher. Um, did forgive me? Did you do high school in California? Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I'm an LA native. So some people might like be like, oh, are you really from LA? You grew up in the South Bay. And then I'll be like, oh, it's LA enough. It's the county. Don't, it's not like it was San Bernardino or Riverside. It's LA County. I grew up in LA.
Nothing against San Bernardino or Riverside, because
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Like so many of our listeners are from San Bernardino and
yeah,
Riverside. I'm so
huge.
sorry.
Yeah, we got a huge Bernardino and Riverside
Oh.
audience. Anyway, so yeah, South Bay, then Pepperdine, and do you feel like you had coming out of uh, the improv program at Pepperdine, and you did plays and stuff there
Yeah.
too?
I did. I didn't get involved in the theater program because apparently, when you audition for a theater program, you shouldn't try to memorize the monologue for the first time the night before, and then show up to the audition and go, "I'm so sorry. I'm just, that really doesn't show that you're qualified for a theater program," which I figured out after I graduated with a degree in psychology. But I did do independent theater, and I hung out with some of the theater people.
And did you consider yourself I'm curious about when you were like, you know what would be a good idea? It'd be a good idea to start a theater. Was that something that started kind of cooking in your head during college? Like, I'm going to start my own theater. I'm going to go independent, start my own theater, and
So the so in undergrad I wanted to, like, my plan was to be a psychologist, right? And as I was in grad school, I was taking out like loans, but like still basically living, by paycheck to paycheck. I mean, student loan disbursement to student loan disbursement. And I was like, well, I need some other way to make money. But the thing about like having a bachelor's in psychology is that you're not qualified for anything.
no.
And there, like, I couldn't get a job like serving or like as a barista, because they were like, well, you have no experience doing this. I'm like, okay. And then I couldn't get a job doing the thing that I was training for because I hadn't finished grad school yet. And then, I couldn't apply for like a full-time office job because, again, no experience. But then also, I was still going to school. So it wouldn't be a full-time job. So I just found myself unable to find any type of employment. So during those years I was kind of like, if I need something to survive, I need to figure out how to make money myself, which is why I thought oh, what a brilliant idea, what a brilliant money-making strategy. I'm going to start a theater. In my mind, I did the math, but I was maybe just like a little over optimistic in my estimations. I thought I'd be, pulled in a cool 100K a year, gross, not net. I ended up pulling in a cool 7K a year, gross, not net. So
Did you do you think that not charging rent and not causing the community that was drawn to your theater, not having them sort of either directly or indirectly invest in the business is the reason? Were you too nice a guy? Is that what it was?
Yeah. The a lesson that I've had to learn over life is that like being a good business person isn't necessarily the same as being a nice person. You don't have to be a monster, but you also have to like understand the value of your time. And I've like recently learned the power of like saying no to things because I want to do everything and I want to help people, but I only have so much time in the day, and I almost always have a backlog of things. I'm sitting on like literally, I have a screen right behind it. It's or this, and it's the outline of a screenplay that I'm writing. I have a client that's being audited to my right. And I have some scripts that I have to memorize for a class to my left. So like I always have things happening, and the so like you just can't say yes to everything. And when you provide a service for somebody, you have to like, there have been times where like somebody's been like really like, down on their luck, and I've been like, don't even worry about like paying me. But like, those are also people who I've like known for like a very long time. But if I did that to like everybody who like was just like, I don't want to pay like your rate for this thing, then one, it's disrespectful to me and my time, but it's also disrespectful to other people who are willing to pay my rate, even though they might have had to sacrifice for it. So in running a theater, like, and I think that's the hardest thing about like managing a theater, is because like improv is all about inclusion and everybody's valid and like we build together, but a business is not like that at all. It like 100% cannot be like that because some people do not know how to run a business. I know from personal experience what happens when somebody who doesn't know how to run a business tries to run a business. Now I have an MBA and I'm like, oh, those are all the mistakes that I made. Yeah, boundaries and like knowing the value of your time and being able to say no when something isn't a good fit for you. Mwah.
It's a good life lesson. It's spun on coffee mugs and T-shirts and calendars, etc. Many different ways and different language, but it's basically you can't help other people unless you help yourself first. Mm-hmm. You just can't. And unfortunately, there are too many people out in the world who are ready, willing, and able to take advantage of a person's goodwill, and then eventually that goodwill will run out because we're human and we run out of energy, we run out of time, we run out of resources. That's another great and important lesson, for people to keep in mind. Is an MBA, is a master's in business administration? Is that mm-hmm. I've never known this. I think some of my family members have a master's, an MBA. Is it a sort of a general advanced degree in how to run a business? Are there specialty MBAs, like an MBA in how to run a hospital, or an MBA? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are like probably more specialties than I'm even aware of. I have a MBA with a marketing emphasis. So essentially, like an MBA, the idea of it is to give you a general idea of everything within a like that you might encounter as an as like upper level or mid-level management in a company, so that like even though you might not specialize in something, I can communicate to the people who are in charge of doing the thing. So I'm not an ITIS specialist, but I can say, oh, like if I'm having marketing do this survey research and we hold all of our data on servers and we have all these people like, you know, directly connecting to our servers, one, is there potentially a data concern? And two, will there be a bandwidth concern? And then I talk to my ITIS people and they're like, no, it's fine. What are you even talking about? Or they're like, oh no, thank you for asking. We looked at this survey and like this thing, like there's a back door where people can, and I'm like, well, I'm glad that like I knew to talk
To
about it.
ask.
So it's a general degree, but like you can specialize in one specific thing.
Do you think that your years in schooling, is your master's in psychology?
Yeah. So I have two, which is very confusing. So I got one in psychology, and then back to the whole like I couldn't find a job thing. I was like, I guess I'll just stay in school and get an MBA. So MA in psychology. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to change the way I ask the question. How do you think the beyond a bachelor's degree years and experience with the world of academia and all that comes with it, how does that affect you as a performing artist, you know, as a comedian, improviser, actor, magician, etc.? Or does it even come to play? Is it like a separate part of your brain that doesn't even matter when you're, you know, performing?
So psychology makes it really just a general understanding of like psychology really helps for like acting, writing, and performance in general.
Absolutely.
The like magic is fascinating because it's all about like perception. I One of my like favorite tricks is so simple. Man, the podcast people are missing out. Have I done this one for you?
Listeners are gonna love. No, you haven't.
I have two rubber bands that are locked together, right? You can see no matter what I do, these rubber bands are locked together. But then what ends up happening is they separate, right? You know logically that they're not magic rubber bands, but they are. I paid like $70 per band. The 100% trick rubber bands that I paid a lot of money for. But like you just know that like your brain missed something. Even if they were expensive trick rubber bands, you're like, oh, even though they looked like rubber bands, there must have been like a little latch that he like, you know, used a key for to but like yeah.
To make the trick work, yeah.
Very complicated rubber bands and so much practice. But the psychology is just like understanding that and understanding that like magic is really great if you are a performer with anxiety, because you learn that there are things that you are stressed about that other people don't see. So actually, like my finger slipped a little bit when I did that trick, and the rubber band almost like went flying away. But you didn't notice that, or maybe you did.
I'm not going to admit anything here.
That's fine. But for me, I panic. But if I don't show that I panic, then like you don't think anything's wrong. The moment I show you that something is wrong, you think it's wrong. And that's the truth in auditions and performances. So understanding psychology gave me that like framework of like, understanding what other people are seeing when I am doing my work, and also understanding what I'm trying to convey. Business is great for goal setting because, like, everybody says this, nobody pays attention. But when you are a artist, you are a business. You are a brand, you are a product, you are a service. And the most important thing is to run your company like a business. And a lot of people hate that idea because it doesn't feel artistic. But it's also like, well, I mean, art can be a hobby. Like there are people who do improv and just like love doing improv. They don't have to run it as a business. But if you want to be successful, then you have to like set goals, and you have to like, do quarterly or annual reviews and go like, did I achieve the goals that I set? Did I have goals? Or like, were the goals that I set like even goals that could be achieved? Like if my goal is I want to do more stuff, I want to act in more stuff. Like, well, define that. Are you fine with just doing like a whole bunch of like student films? Does that count, or do they have to be paid? Right? Do you want to book a co-star? We'll break that down into the subsequent steps. Do you feel like you need an agent? Okay.
Oh,
Excellent.
I did
You
not.
muted me.
I did. I was trying to unmute you just then. You accidentally muted yourself. So that's a great point, is that having studied business, you have and run a business and currently running a business of financial services, you are steeped in the necessity of having goals and having evaluation and keeping what is working and throwing out what is not working, and redesigning what needs to be done for next year or next quarter based on what happened last quarter. Future performance, past performance is not indicative of future results kind of mindset. And do you find that has kept you sort of, I don't know, grounded in your approach to the performing arts, as opposed to maybe how people can get, present company included, people can get very emotional and wrapped up in the possibilities of failure and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think having a bit of a more practical approach, like I think the thing that I've had to learn is like to not take things personally. Because like you look at like a high-end bottle of scotch, right? I know you don't drink, but like we could do, or like
no, you can stay with scotch, it's okay.
Okay. So like you go to a bar, I'm always worried about like offending people.
No, I'm of Irish heritage, so I'm okay with that reference.
Oh, should I do an Irish whiskey? Oh, I'm the worst.
No, stick with scotch, it's good.
Okay. So
I could even name some if I wanted to. I even know the names of some scotches.
If you want to toss like a few names out there real quick, I'll wait.
Johnny Walker Blue Label.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Glenfiddich, Glenlivet, Glen Meringue.
Those are like the top four. Tossing a Macallan, and you got like the
Macallan.
Woo. So you have this like nice bottle. I'll just go with your first one, Johnny Walker Blue Label, top of the bar, right? Everybody who walks into the bar that night, almost no one's going to order it. People are going to order, their PBRs and like their craft beers. Some people are going to get like a mixed drink, right? That doesn't mean that the Johnny Walker Blue Label isn't quality. It just means that like that's not what people want. And I think the hardest thing about being an artist is when you're doing good work, but you're not getting the reward of booking things. But at some point, somebody's going to be like, I don't want, I don't want any beer. I don't want a mixed drink. My best friend just, married the, person of their dreams, and we're going to celebrate by getting the best stuff that this bar has to offer. And that's when you come into play, right? Johnny Walker Blue Label isn't going to be like, we want people to buy more of our bottles. Let's like drop our price just to, appeal to more people. They know the value of what it is they do. So I think like very recently, I still fall into this, but like I just trust what I do. And then I go like, after an audition, I'm just like, I did good. And if I know that I didn't do good, then I go, well, then how do I fix it for next time? If I wasn't prepared, then I know I need to spend another couple hours working on that script. If I like felt nervous, then I need to figure out how to feel more comfortable in the room, or how to be nervous as heck on the inside. It's the like duck paddling underwater over the water that look fine.
It's the rubber band almost slipping off your finger, but nobody else knowing it.
Did you notice? Like, I just need to know for my sanity.
Let's keep going, Jeff.
But okay. But yeah, defining goals, being able to we were talking about practice, and like I'm really on this like recently of just like there's so many people who've been doing something for years and never have improved. I started playing piano when I was like 5, and so technically I've played piano for many years, but it does not seem like I've been playing piano for 20 plus years. And that is because of like, I will basically go to a piano and just play the song that I learned 15 years ago or whatever, and then be like, okay, that sounds okay. And be like, great, I play piano. But recently I've been like, okay, no, that sound, that's supposed to be forte, that's supposed to be mezzo forte, there's crescendo there. Like I keep on missing that key. Let me slow that down and work on it over and over. And that's what you need to do with your career, where if you're like, I have a really hard time memorizing my lines, how do you fix that? Like, if you are like, oh, sometimes like I say words and I feel like I don't believe it, okay, how do you fix that? Like, but you have to identify the problem, and that's what you do in business. You're like, we need to make more money. What's the issue?
That's critical. That's such great advice, is to run your artistic self like a business. That phrase gets kicked around a lot, like you said. And I don't know if everybody who says that thinks of it in the way that you just framed it. I think I've always had the impression that a lot of people that say, look, you're a singer-songwriter, you need to run your artistic business as a business, or you're an actor, you need to run yourself like a business, or you're a writer, you need to run. I think most people, when they say that, I think they kind of go halfway with the metaphor, I guess. And but hearing you talk about like all the different aspects that go into it, like the knowing your value, and understanding that you are a select sort of product, or you have a select market for who you are, what you are, an audience, I guess, maybe a better way to put it. Practice and evaluation and reevaluation and goal setting and all these different things. That's a much fuller explanation about it than I've encountered before. So you've got this multi hyphenate career going on. What at the moment is like exciting you and making you say, like, Cisco, leave me alone, I gotta focus on this? Is it trying to write a script? Is it practicing more magic stuff? Is it what is really the thing at the moment for you that's really lighting up?
So I've gotten back into music, and so the script has just been on like my to-do list for a year. So like I was just like I set like a specific deadline, and then I was like I have to have it written by the 13th. If it's not like if I don't write it, it's never going to get written. So that is just more so like a literally the last thing like on my like to-do list of like things that I've been waiting to do. Music is what I'm really excited about. I've gotten like a little bit morbid like in my thinking recently. Like I think about death a lot because like I've experienced lots of people close to me dying. And then like every time somebody close to you dies, especially if they're around the same age, you're just like, okay, like this death thing is like a real thing that like could also affect me. Hmm.
Wow, dude, that's amazing because like that, if we would have started this interview there, this would have been a much different conversation.
Yeah, it's
because
I
because that's been going on with me, quite frankly, for the last few years. Yeah, absolutely.
and yeah, I was sitting on it. But like we just don't know how much time we have, and
Absolutely.
that's why I've been like obsessed with like the value of my time because it's like, well, what do I really want to do? And like, it's very easy to waste your time on things that are fun, which I have no problem with. But it's also easy to waste your time on things that you do because you're afraid of doing the things that you want to do. I hate practicing because I really hate being bad at things. Gifted kid syndrome. So I'm just used to like as a kid, I was good at stuff. As an adult, I'm like, oh, I have to like work hard to like be good at stuff. So I'm learning violin, and it's so hard because it's so squeaky sometimes, and I hate it. But you have to everyone who is performing in an orchestra or a soloist dealt with the squeaks. Same thing with acting, same thing with writing. You have to write scripts that you hate before you write the scripts that you love. Jordan, I just saw a Jordan Peele quote about this, and I'm going to completely butcher it, but basically.
You can look it up if you want.
No, too late. I've already started butchering it. But he says that the first draft is now I remember. The first draft is me pouring sand into a sandbox that I will later build a castle with.
Cool. That's a great quote.
And when you're just pouring sand, it's boring and like it gets in your eyes. But when you build that sand castle, then everybody's like, wow, great sandcastle. You just are probably naturally good at it. But
I mean, Jordan Peele's a great example of, I mean, like,
yeah.
He and Keegan Michael Key have been working together for so long and doing so many different things. And the big, I mean, I don't even know if Mad TV was a big break for them. I mean, it was obviously a break, but like when they finally arrived, so to speak, with their show, there were people who were like, where do these guys come from? And that's a pretty great example of, it's a great quote from him because it's a great example of guys who were toiling away for years. I guess, I mean, in the comedy community, they were pretty well known for a good long time, but yeah, that's a great quote. Pouring the sand in the sandbox and messing around while you eventually get your castle built. Is there something that you think from your life kind of points you in the direction of you see you are a in-service person. You are a person who is helping people with their taxes. You created a theater for people to do stuff at and gave it away too cheaply to keep it going. You engage with people both on stage as an actor and also as a magician with, that close connection of that's required when you're engaging in close-up magic and that sort of thing. Does that come from childhood? Does that come from influences in the entertainment industry, that sort of desire to connect as opposed to the desire to kind of be like in focus, hey, look at me, that sort of thing? Where does that come from, do you think?
I mean, I kind of made the gifted kid joke earlier, but like that was like a thing for me growing up. I had like people who were like, not only are you going to like have to get one doctorate, but you need 2 doctorate degrees, like, so don't like quit after one. So I had like a tremendous amount of pressure on me growing up, which I don't recommend. And because like throughout college and grad school, I had this like constant desire to please other people.
Right.
And this like fear that, if I didn't, I would just be invisible. So obviously I channeled that into acting. So
the other side of the service, the other side of the being of service coin is the needing to please people.
Yeah. But recently, after like a lot of self-reflection, I was like, okay, well, I cannot save everybody. But actually, it's it's second circle, but like for your life, where if you're in third and your energy's everywhere, right? It's useless. If you're in first and it's introverted, and it's all about yourself, then you are ineffective. But like once you find that balance where it's like, okay, this is the person who I can help in this moment, and I'm going to give them my attention and my focus. I cannot help this person in this moment, but let me tell them when I can, right? And that's been a lot more fulfilling for me because I'm choosing who to help and I'm choosing where my energy goes, as opposed to being pulled into directions that a lot of times, like back to boundaries, like the power of saying no. It's crazy, especially in this industry. Like we feel like we can't say no to things, but like it's like just try like if you're listening and you feel this way, like just try saying no to something dumb. Like somebody's like, hey, do you want pizza? And like you like might want pizza. Just say no. Just say no. Like and just feel how that feels. And yeah.
I just want to point out that Jeffrey referenced Patsy Rotenberg's The Second Circle. She's a arts educator, theater educator, director, and Shakespeare scholar whose work involves with helping performers take full advantage of their energy and their presence, and in relation to the energy and presence of others. It's a great book, The Second Circle, and a great philosophy. Yeah, such a great idea, Jeff, to practice saying no to things in order to feel what it's like, that the sky isn't going to fall if you turn down the thing or the opportunity, the small opportunity, or the task or whatever it is, pizza, in order to then build a bit of armor around spreading yourself too thin. Yeah. What is your piece of advice to the person listening who's like an adult who is like, oh, I want to play piano, or I want to learn how to do this thing, and I just haven't really put myself to it. But I hate practicing, like you said.
I'm going to be a huge hypocrite. If you hate practicing, you just have to get used to it. It's like going to the gym. It's like anything. Like you literally just can't. And like this is something that I discovered a year ago, and I'm just like, oh, when I practice, I get better at things way more quickly than just like doing it once and then giving up, and then like 2 weeks later just magically being like somewhat better because my brain was thinking about it. So there are like it's hard, and it like I'm it's my life is easy because I my rent is very cheap, and I do not have kids, so like I like have a little bit of the ability to like just buy an instrument or something like that. But there are ways of doing things that like you wouldn't even think of. So like let's just say you wanted to start learning how to play the piano, but you don't want to like pay for lessons. There's this website called youtube.com, and it is insane. It is insane how much like content people put up there for free. I've learned so much about music theory just from doing like the like 10 videos that like connect to one another. I'm like, I want to know why D minor is apparently the saddest key, or maybe it isn't. And then you like there are like online apps, and it's not the same as like playing a keyboard, but you can like get familiar with a layout. You can buy like a really small 1.5 octave keyboard just to like start out and see if you like it. The We were talking about this in class the other day, the I can't that like doesn't exist, where it's like there's no way I could learn piano. You put in like 10 minutes a day. That's a little bit more than an hour a week, right? It's not much, but you will by the end of a month know more than you knew before. And then if you keep on doing that, then eventually you're going to be like, oh, well, I have a little bit of money saved. I can get a full keyboard. I have a little bit of money saved. I have a little bit more time. I'm going to pay for lessons. Like, it just builds. But like the thing that I tell, I have people who ask me like, what do I need to do to like write scripts? I'm just like, sit the fuck down and write. That's literally the only thing. That's the like you just have to actually do the thing. And the fear of it being bad, it's going to be bad. It's okay, because the more you do it, the less bad it gets. So coming from somebody who hates being wrong, we just have to do it. Yell at me, remind me to write my script if you see me on the internet or in real life. Yeah.
The more you do it, the less bad it gets. Sound advice. You can find him on Instagram and social medias at One Black Jeff. And are you taking clients for your tax preparing services?
Yeah, reach out to me. It's a case by case. I try to help people whenever I can. If you reach out to me on like April 14th and you're like, can we get it done the next day? We'll see. The answer will probably be no, but we'll see.
Jeffrey Thompson, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure. Thank you to Rachel Wasserman for being our tech, and to Jennifer Epps for being our Twitch moderator. Thank you to you for watching, if you are watching on Saturday, August 7th, 2021. And if you're listening to this in the future, I hope you got your taxes done. Jeff, some future client is probably listening right now.
From Riverside.
Thank you. See you next time.